Welcome back to the North Star Takes podcast with Bailey Pulicki and Jacob Liberta. Today we will be discussing Minnesota Gophers football preview with our resident Gophers expert, Jackson Lefebvre. Big-time Homer Gopher fan here. Knows way more about the team than we do, so we're going to come to him for some instant analysis here before the team's first game this upcoming week against Ohio State. Big game right off the bat, fellas.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jackson, what are your overall impressions of this roster, and do you think they're going to have a better year than last year?
Gentlemen, first of all, it's a pleasure to be on this pod again. Just highlighting this excellent Gopher team. I'm so excited for this upcoming season. First of all, I'm going to throw a stat, you guys.
Okay.
Ooh, let's go.
89% of the returning production will be back on this team from last year. This team has a bunch of sixth-year Redshirt Seniors. I like to call these guys Trevor and Bachway guys.
Yes.
That's your guy. I know that. True and true.
Redshirt Seniors. We have a bunch of just old guys, 23, 24 years old, playing up against a bunch of 18, 19-year-old guys. We have a bunch of men on this team that are ready to fight, and I'm just excited.
All right.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, PJ Fleck is kind of obviously a big hype guy, and if you can keep these guys around for, obviously injuries are a part of it too, but if these guys are still sticking around for their fifth and sixth years, that's pretty impressive. I think that says a lot about the program and the direction it's been headed.
It's a testament to the roll culture.
Absolutely. Roll that boat, baby.
Yes.
So let's jump into the roster a little bit here. Top to bottom, I guess, what do you think the strengths are and maybe what the weaknesses would be as well?
Yeah, of course. So strength right off the bat is going to be the D-line.
Okay.
We have a bunch of, like I said, Trevor and Bachway guys. We have a bunch of Redshirt Seniors. We have a couple transfers that are coming on this team. I love it. I'm just going to go through a little bit of some players right off the bat on the D-line. First of all, Micah Dew-Treadway. This guy is ancient. 7-year guy. He played 4 years at Notre Dame. And then he transferred to the U of M in 2019. He was on that Outback Bowl squad, that glorious season. He came back for his sixth year, and then because of COVID, all these guys get an extra year now.
Yep.
So we have a 7-year man, just beast on this team. This guy is a beast. So we have this guy. Now we have another guy, Niles Pinnicky. I can't say the name. Niles Pinkney. Niles Pinkney.
Yeah.
This guy is from Clemson. He is that big time transfer.
Nice.
Yep. This guy was all ACC third team 2 years ago, though, I believe, because in 2019, because he didn't play on. He opted out for COVID. Okay. But this guy is a beast. This guy knows how to win. He was on 2 championship rosters with Trevor Lawrence. This guy was a 5-time ACC champion. This guy knows how to win.
Pedigree.
We also have Rashad Cheney. This guy was 215 out of 300 on the ESPN recruiting list a couple years ago. Okay. One of PJ's big-time recruits. He's, I believe, a redshirt sophomore. This D-line is just out of control. And it's going to be exciting because last year we couldn't stop the run at all, hardly, because all these guys were out for COVID and stuff. It's going to be a big difference this year for the Gopher squad.
Yeah, I think you could kind of draw some parallels to the Gophers and the Vikings in terms of just the complete defensive overhaul they're going to have from last year to this year. So I think that's pretty exciting. Shifting over to the offensive side of the ball, Tanner Morgan seemed to struggle a little bit last season compared to how great he was in 2019. He loses Rashad Bateman to the NFL, obviously, first-round pick to the Ravens. What are you thinking of Tanner Morgan? Do you think he's going to bounce back this year? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
In one word, 100% he'll bounce back.
Wow. Okay.
Mainly because we have such an experienced offensive line behind him. This guy is not going to get touched this year. He's going to just sit back. He can do whatever. He's going to have 10 seconds back there to scan the field and go after all of these wide receiver players, these electric guys like Chris Autman-Bell. Yes. He's going to have all day. We have a bunch of guys, Redshirt Seniors on the O-line, that Tanner Morgan can just trust, and he'll have his back. And I think Tanner Morgan will have a big-time bounce-back year. This guy's experienced. This guy had an excellent year. They're talking NFL in 2019 with this guy. Sure. This guy can play.
Now, Jackson, I want to feed off of that question real quick. Now, when we say he's going to come back and bounce back after kind of a down year last year, are we saying he's going to be better than 2019, or is he just going to match the 2019 level?
I think Tanner Morgan can get drafted in the NFL.
Okay.
I think he still has 2 more years of eligibility, I believe. So I think this guy is a full-on college guy. He's going to be on the team. But I think after next year, this guy could be kind of like a Jake Browning type. This guy could be kind of a hold the clipboard guy, but maybe come in every once in a while. This guy is smart. He's a good culture guy. I think he could be drafted in the later rounds of the NFL. He's got the talent.
Yeah, that's huge. So you're thinking later rounds for now, but you think that how high do you think his stock could get? Like if we're throwing a NFL draft round potential on it.
Oh, the highest is probably 6th round. I would say
6th round.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he's.
All right.
I mean, he's not. I would say. I mean, he doesn't have quite the talent overall, but he's a great system guy, especially for the Gophers. He's the leader of this team. So I mean, he has a talent to potentially get drafted, but we'll see. I'm excited for this year.
Yeah. Now, actually, let's say. Hopefully this doesn't happen. Let's say it goes the other way for Tanner Morgan here, and let's say he doesn't have a good bounce back here, and he kind of just more of the same in 2020. How quick do you think PJ would be to pull the string, maybe opt to a guy like Zach Angstead, or maybe even the freshman newcomer like Athan Kelly Kamanis, the highly touted recruit we just brought in?
You know what? I'll tell you. Tanner Morgan is PJ's guy. It would have to be a very significant thing to happen in order to bring in Angstead. I mean, Tanner Morgan is going to have to get injured in order to get brought out. It's not going to be really a lack of, I think, on the field production that's going to be have him taken out. This guy's a culture guy. I think it's going to take a miracle for this guy to be pulled off by PJ unless he gets injured. So he's PJ's guy. We're gonna live or die with him. So that's what I think.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. I'm with you that I think he'll have a good season, but just you got to brace for the worst sometimes. As a Minnesota fan, you got to keep yourself guarded a little bit. But
Wilbur, come on now. We haven't even gotten into the season. Let's get excited for this. We have Ohio State coming. We just announced today we have the blackout unis for the Ohio State, and a little bit of insider information here. So I went to the U of M for 4 years, graduated last year in 2020. I went to most of those games, and the first game of the year always has a ton of people, mainly because they get free tickets to all of the freshmen coming in. So not only is Ohio State coming in, it's going to be a sellout, but even if we were playing some FBS or FCS school or something, the student section would be sold out because all those freshmen have free tickets. Yep. It's going to be absolutely packed. It's going to be rocking. I'm excited. Oh, Huntington Bank Stadium this time, though. I have to get used to that. The Hunt. Have to get used to that, but it's going to be rocking. All
right. I can't wait for pandemonium. We got to beat Ohio State in that first night, especially since they're treading into new waters without Justin Fields.
Yep, exactly. And I think and that's another thing is this first game is going to really set the tone for the entire season, I think. Yeah. And Ohio State has the talent, but we have the experience on these guys. Ohio State has I believe, is he a freshman? I think so. I think he is. I believe he's a freshman, but really young quarterback coming in. And like I mentioned, the D-line, we have a bunch of nasty men, 24, 25 years old on the O-line. They know how to work these O-linemen. They know how to get after the quarterback. And this guy has not experienced a rocking TCF or now Huntington Bank Stadium. Mm-hmm. This guy has not experienced a rocking Big Ten environment with a bunch of vets. I think that's going to be the X factor in this game.
All right. I like that thought. I think that's pretty good. I think that gives the Gophers a good chance in week 1.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with you guys. I think it can be closer than people think, honestly. I mean, I think Ohio State's favored by, 14 or something? I think they're favored by a couple touchdowns, which I think is ridiculous. But we haven't even gotten into the best player on the offensive side of the ball yet, who's probably for sure going to be an NFL draft pick, I would imagine.
Sleeper Heisman, question mark?
Yeah, Mo Ibrahim. What are your thoughts on him, Jack Daddy?
Yeah, Mo is, just tried and true guy. He's a bowling ball downfield. People hate to tackle him, it looks like. Especially in the cold. You get to those November games at home or, really anywhere in the Big Ten. The guys don't want to tackle him. He's a bowling ball. The guy just runs through players. And now with this O-line, he's gonna have just wide gaps. You could just drive a truck through. I haven't even talked about the O-line specifically. Right. I want to highlight a couple guys in the O-line, 2 guys. One guy, Slam Schluter. I think I mentioned him a little bit early on. Mm-hmm. I was actually in a class with this guy 2 years ago, entrepreneurial management with this guy. Excellent man. It's true. The guy wears a polo, sits front row. PJ doesn't lie. He sets the culture. This guy sits front row with a polo on. Yes, sir. awesome guy. This guy, I mean, like I said, he's 24 years old, or 23, 24. He's a man, really, really strong guy. And then finally, Daniel Falele. He's
the big guy.
He's back. He sat out all of last year because of COVID. He's back. He's 6'9", 400 pounds now. I've heard he's slimmed down to 380 now. Only 380. Yeah. But these guys are just going to provide massive holes for Mo to run through. And even if Tanner Morgan is kind of off one game, we can just hand the ball off to this big former, last year, Big Ten running back of the year, and we can just go to work and set up the play action. So there's so many weapons that this team has, and so I'm excited for Mo's upcoming season. It's going to be a big X factor.
Totally agree. Absolutely. I think there's just going to be a lot to look forward to with this Gophers team. Like you mentioned, the two lines are they're older, but they're just big and beastly and nasty. You got the weapons with Ibrahim. You got Chris Autman-Bell at receiver. Yep. Obviously, he's not quite proven yet, but he looks like he's ready to take that next step with Bateman and Tyler Johnson out of there. So, it's going to be interesting, I think, to see how they come out week 1 against Ohio State.
I agree. And a couple of the guys on the wide receiver end, you mentioned Chris Autman-Bell, but also Daniel Jackson. He's a big PJ guy. I've been hearing a lot of talks. This guy played a little bit last year. Watch for a breakout year by Daniel Jackson. And you have a tried and true Clay Geary, I believe. This guy was a class of mine last year. I was his TA. Super smart guy.
Okay.
Super smart guy. If you remember in the Nebraska game, this guy was the guy that caught that clutch game winning catch in Nebraska last year in the cold. This guy is a tried and true guy. He will catch every ball, possession receiver, but just classic guy. And then finally, Dylan Wright. He's a transfer from Texas A&M. Okay. Watch for Dylan Wright. It's wide receiver you here at a PJ Fleck on a PJ Fleck team. Yep. I can see Chris Autman-Bell, Daniel Jackson. These guys have NFL talent. So even though we got rid of Bateman, even though Bateman went to the draft, we still have lots of weapons, especially with our ground and pound game. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for over the top, downfield, big plays. So I'm excited.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I think we'll wrap it for this one. We'll do another video here going over the Gophers' schedule, the big games, what we're expecting for their record for the season. So stay tuned for that. But that's going to do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe as well if you haven't already. And feel free to give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram, and hit that comment section about what you think about this Gophers roster and who you're excited to see this year.